Hello friend, how is it going? Welcome back to Auto Resource YouTube channel. Here you are looking with me on my 2014 Jetta TDI SportWagen, and I would like to share my experience with ownership of this generation of Volkswagen TDIs, and I will use as a sample this Jetta for the engine, which is 2-liter TDI, and the model is CJAA. And you will think all these TDIs, this is 2011 and this one is 2014, they are the same, but they are not. This one has also 2-liter CJAA TDI, so it's slightly different. This one is absolutely not giving me any problems, and this one is quite opposite. I really like this vehicle. I love to drive it. I bought her broken, but I fixed all the problems. I took it as a challenge of the learning the CJAA. This one has that wonderful 6-speed manual transmission. It's real pleasure to drive it. It's way smaller inside than that Passat over there, but it's a very cool, practical car. If you are alone or maybe couple, that space here in the back is incredible. A huge trunk. You have these rails for roof racks, so very practical. I will highly recommend it as a vehicle, except with that higher mileage, 176,000 miles on odometer, there are some serious problems related to the engine. You look underneath the hood, it might look same to the people who never owned any, but CJAA, for example, if you want to see immediately, the oil filler is here, CJAA, it's located here. So that will be the first immediate half-second look in the engine, and you can see which one you have in this generation of Volkswagens. Now, what are the problems? Well, there are very many, and most of it basically is related to emissions. What is not related to emissions is the expensive maintenance item which is on this side of the engine, and that's a timing belt and the water pump repair. If you do it yourself, parts may be $300, but if you pay, I will be afraid you will pay between $1,500 and $2,000 for just that maintenance service. I will not say that it's common to have a fuel problems on CJAA, so I will not talk about that. However, there are serious problems related to the DPF, which is right here, diesel particulate filter. There were technical service bulletins and recalls and warranties from the Volkswagen. However, we are in 2025 and that's all expired, and you will not get any of that done if you buy used Volkswagen TDI. It's all over. Nothing is for free anymore. You will pay big bucks. If you have a problem with the DPF, that can easily cost somewhere at the dealers $3,000, $4,000. So the emissions are basically killing these vehicles. It's absolutely nightmare. Your EGR system, right past the DPF, there is a low pressure EGR pipe, or they call it EGR filter pipe. That can be plugged, but that's very cheap and easy to replace. Right after that, it goes into the EGR cooler. That's a big unit on the back, very difficult to get to, and that has already first EGR valve hidden down there, which then sends the EGR gas is through this pipe to the EGR valve number 2. This is the one. And only after that it's getting reused in the intake. So EGR system, huge problems. Also very expensive to repair. I knew that these vehicles are not suitable for short trips. If you are a person like me who will be driving only short trips, do yourself a favor and don't buy a TDI CJAA. You will regret that, because the DPF, diesel particle filter, will get plugged, and then you have to do the regeneration. But if you drive like me, one way only 12 miles, it will never happen. The vehicle cannot perform it, and you will be pointlessly driving with your scanner or idling the vehicle in the parking lot. But it's better to drive, and you will be just wasting your time and the money in the gas trying to regenerate, to burn that suit which is in the DPF and have it cleaned and maintain the whole system functional. If your DPF will fail, or it will be sending ashes through, it will plug the EGR system and you will be replacing that. So it's an absolute nightmare, those emissions, and especially when you do the short trips only. In this case, I will say don't buy these cars whatsoever. I bought this one broken as a challenge and learning process. I never had CJAA. I had that CKRA before this one. I didn't need this, but I'm like, okay, I will learn and I will conquer. The vehicle was only in the limp modes. You can't even drive it. The previous owner, towed it to me, to my shop, and I started the repairs, where I dealt with the DPF and the whole EGR system. Everything is fixed, and I have no codes, and I have perfect performance, and the vehicle drives lovely. Once again, that 6-speed, it's a pleasure. I can even hear a little bit of the turbo as you go through that, revving between 2,000 and 3,000 RPM. Under the load you can hear it a little bit, that turbo whistle, despite the fact it has the original OEM intake. Now comes the cherry on the cake. Well, what's the English term, correct term? Now comes, we will top all these problems with this one. After I did perform all the repairs, everything what was wrong with this, the differential pressure sensors, and it's very complicated. That emission system, it's extremely complicated. There are so many temperature sensors, oxygen sensors. It has a flap on the exhaust to keep closing and opening. Seriously, it's very complicated, sometimes hard to diagnose. After I repair all of it, and I'm successfully driving without any codes coming back, check engine light stays off, and I'm driving there and back, here the short trips for lunch or home and back, which I said it's approximately only 12 miles one way. I did already multiple trips. I wasted in afternoon. I will take off from here and do the highway driving to finish the monitors and be able finally smoke the vehicle and transfer it on my name. I have this vehicle like 3-4 months already, and I still have title with somebody else's name on it, because I need to smoke it, and only after that go with title to DMV and be able to put it on my name. But what is happening, and I never heard from anybody, and I just find out recently, and that's why I'm making the videos. Everybody knows the every single detail. Apparently CJAA, the way the computer is programmed, in many cases is very, very hard to finish your emission monitors. I have everything done. It was after the last repair. Everything, all the monitors stopped flashing after like 3 days of this routine which I described to you. However, it's already a couple of weeks. I did special longer trips on highway and I tried to follow certain patterns. I can't get EGR and O2 monitor to finish. So I went again, it's a learning process, and I typed it in the forums, Google, blah, blah, blah. And I found out it's absolutely common for CJAA, not for CKRA. That's why I'm telling you, I will not make video like this about that Passat, because that engine, I have way less miles, but it's better. It's they moved it a little bit forward, and they fixed certain problems, and also that ECM is programmed differently apparently. So the problem with this CJAA is I cannot finish the monitors. People share on the forums, this is absolutely common problem with this thing, and it may take sometimes, in some cases, up to 1,000 miles to get rid of that flashing and have it steady and have a green light or IM, which is a huge problem for me, because I may have done all this work for nothing. I will be not able to smog it and move the title on my name. I will have to sell it as is without the check engine light, but to someone who's willing to drive it for months. In my case, it can take 6 months, then it will stop flashing. And I will have to do extra trips, which I don't want. We have 5 cars, so this was just a project for me. We have many cars in our family. This is not my priority. I may be selling it as is without smoke and just getting rid of it, either with making nothing or slight loss, whatever, doesn't matter. It's frustrating. It's just absolute ignorance of Volkswagen, ignorance of the government forcing these mandates on us when the car is perfectly running. Everything is functioning properly. I don't have any ashes coming out of the exhaust. It's a super clean. This is non-Blue Death. This one has the urea, the Blue Death. This is still 2011 Jetta. It's non-Blue Death, so you are not pouring the thing. Despite the fact all of that, the tailpipe is clean and it's not getting full of ashes. That tailpipe on this Blue Death, if it's running, there's basically nothing coming out of the exhaust pipe. It's so clean, you could theoretically breathe the air and be totally fine, because that works perfectly. So I want to share that with you. I wish I knew it, because if I knew these things, and I will know my patterns and how I use these vehicles, because that EGR and O2, because these are two which are flashing, I will not buy this vehicle. I will just not put myself through this headache. Now I'm stuck with it. I'm hoping I will drive it few more weeks or whatever, and if it doesn't finish the monitors, I will put it on Facebook Marketplace, explain what's happening, and that it needs the new owner, who will be driving it way further than I am, and it will smog for them. So this is my experience with this baby. Other than that, obviously it has any other maintenance problems or service problems like all the other cars, brakes or transmissions or whatever. This is the same. However, CJAA has a very specific emission limitations and pains. I hope you find this helpful. If you do, please give it a thumb up. Stay tuned. I will keep filming this. I will keep filming that on this Auto Resource YouTube channel. Thank you for watching and have a great day, my friend.